Georgia is back on Saturday playing football in the evening time. The weather's going to be cool.
Come on.
How many points are going to be scored in the game? These are the questions that you have to answer because Clint and I are going to give you a detailed breakdown of what we expect to happen in this game. And then we're going to tell you how this weekend you can make your rent for next month.
Ain't lying.
All that coming today on the Locked On Bulldogs podcast.
You are Locked On Bulldogs, your daily podcast on the Georgia Bulldogs. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
What is going on, people? Glad you are with us. This is Locked On Bulldogs, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by BetOnline. We're going to get back to them here in a moment. And the place you're going to go to take all of these things that we are going to give you in this episode, our official score predictions. We're going to break down the lines for the Georgia game, the total, the over-under, all that good stuff will be happening for the game against Mizzou.
That's right.
Give you the official prediction of what we think is going to happen, as well as other games. That's segments 2 and 3. So, Daniel, let's give the people, let's just start with some brass tacks, just what Vegas is doing.
Let's give them what they want.
Okay. The line right now for this game is 28 points. It hasn't shifted too much. It started at 26.5, 26, went up to 28, maybe got as high as 28.5, but I haven't seen it higher than that.
You can still find good 28s out there. There's plenty of 28s available at time of recording.
Which, again, let us repeat, you can still get 28.
We'll get to the locks in a moment, but
okay,
I think you know what's coming.
Sorry.
Over-under of this tally is 54 is what Vegas has settled on.
Okay.
So some may say not that many points. Some may say too many points.
It's a lot.
Who knows?
Who's to say?
Who's to say? Well, we are, because what we're going to do today, 3 segments, we're going to break down this Georgia game. If you want to know our thoughts on the individual matchups, Missouri's offense versus our defense, our offense versus Missouri's defense, and whatnot, you can go back and listen to yesterday's episode. Also, if you want to hear us make a ridiculous and obviously tongue-in-cheek comment about how Alabama, as the place receivers go to die, that many of you were painfully offended by, I can't.
Have you ever seen those? There's some shorts I get into sometime right now. Karens all across America are stopping comedians mid-set and telling them how offensive they are. And the comedians just keep coming back like, honey, maybe comedy's not your thing.
Yeah.
Right? Okay. Maybe satire's not your thing. Maybe sarcasm's not your thing if you're offended by
Julio Jones did go to Alabama. We do acknowledge that. That's just so we're clear. We do acknowledge that Julio Jones went to Alabama.
Oh, my gosh. I had no
idea. And
also,
my grandfather was a heck of a football player back in the day as well. So,
also, Julio Jones, the first black wide receiver to start at Alabama.
He said sometimes you don't want to double down or even triple down. Sometimes you just keep going back to the well. All right, let's talk about Georgia versus Missouri. If you want to know our thoughts, go back and listen to yesterday's episode. If you're listening on Spotify, Stitcher, Apple Podcasts, you can do that. If you're watching on YouTube, you can just click back through and find that episode. So I'm going to go first, Clint, and I'm going to jump out of the gate. I'm going to give you my score, and then I'm going to tell you a little bit of why I think that. I think the score of this game is 42-9. That's the score that I'm going to give you. It's 4-2. And it is a 9. It's an advantage to go first when you nail the score right on the head, because now what you have to do is you've got to zig or zag one way or the other. All right, Missouri's going to move the ball a little bit. They're going to get a few points, but this defense is going to solidify after a shaky performance in certain areas last week. And Stetson Bennett is going to come out crisp. But here's the thing we know about Stetson Bennett, Clint. He is motivated.
Yes, sir.
By what the perception of him is. Like, whether or not now listen, he's a professional and he goes about his business and he doesn't, get all caught up in his feelings. But Stetson Bennett knows that everybody was doubting him all year last year, and he liked it. He ate it up. And so Stetson Bennett had his worst game of the season by a country mile on Saturday. And that's going to motivate him. And this whole Georgia offense, I expect crispness. I expect clean execution. I do not expect Kirby to really keep his foot on the gas. I think you're gonna see pass early, run late. And so I think we're comfortably sitting somewhere in the neighborhood of 31, 35 maybe at halftime, and then we just cruise the second half and end on 42-9. Clint, what say you? So just to be clear, I'm locking up Georgia minus 28. You just lock that thing up. And I am not touching that over-under, even though technically I would be on the under, but it's just a few points. I think that over-under is pretty close. So I'm not touching that over-under.
Here's what happens when you do a podcast with each other on sports betting for years and years and years. The mind meld is
It's not just, don't act like it's just sports betting. People could read our text messages. It's listen,
Sorry.
You may not like us.
Sure.
You may like us. We've heard from many of you who have
sides of that aisle.
varying opinions, both sides of the aisle. Here's what we do not get a lot of. I really like one of them, but not the other one. That's not, nobody's leaving that comment because you boys are basically the same person at this point, and but there's no reason to try anything different.
No, there's no reason. I had written down 42-9, Daniel. Now, for the sake of the bet, we cannot have the same. We have a bet going on. Yes. We cannot have the same score. So I'm going to have to choose 9. I'll go 12 on Mizzou just to get that extra field goal.
Okay.
I think that we do stop them. I like Mizzou to get maybe a late score. So Mizzou's going to get 12. I like the point spread as well in this, Daniel. I'm locking that 28 up. Since I can't go 42, I'm going to go.
Well, I mean, technically you could go 42 as long as we have some difference in our score. But that
42 is a great one.
Yeah.
I think those tuds, I think we clean up the red zone. I think Monk is not so much in the bag, maybe at the Oregon game. If you watch that Oregon game, that was a masterpiece. I don't think he's going to have to. I think Kirby, again, just like last week where he was rotating people and hamstrung some people, I think maybe he does a little similar to Mizzou. So I'm going to stick 42-12 is what I'm going to go. But I would rather have Daniels because I think we're not going to let him get in the end zone. We're going to shut him down.
That defense coming.
That defense is coming for you, Mizzou. I truly am sorry.
It's tough. It's going to be a tough sled. Number one, Missouri, you've got your offense. So that's not great, just right off the jump. Number two, you've got our defense. Number three, it's the week after this Kent State game. It's not a great situation.
It's a night game
for Eli Drinkovitz. Yeah, it's not SEC East opponent. You're not going to sneak by with this one. Let's come back, Clint, and we got a bevy of games that we want to talk to you about.
This weekend's games, y'all, get in the action now, please, because it is insane.
The last time we were together 2 weeks ago, one of the best Saturdays of college football I've ever watched.
It was
phenomenal. This Saturday, you and I are going to be together watching the games again. I like this slate. I like it a lot, Clint.
It's beautiful.
Right,
we're going to talk about that.
Let's talk to the people about BetOnline.
BetOnline is your sportsbook experts. They are the place that you need to go to deposit your hard-earned cash and make that rent for next month. And y'all, we're making your money this year. If you follow your boys, especially when we double down. Daniel took Michigan State bet last week. He was on the right side of that. It turns out Michigan State's Sparty is awful and horrible. And
I did not take Michigan State. I faded Michigan State, which that's the move this year.
I took Michigan State.
Yeah.
Continue to fade them. They are bad at football.
Mel is not having his best team this year.
Ooh, it's rough over there. But BetOnline is your sportsbook experts, the official sportsbook experts of Locked On Bulldogs and Locked On Podcast. Get over there right now. Deposit your money. They are safe. They're secure. They are reliable. They have all these point spreads as well as over-unders. BetOnline, your sportsbook experts.
All right, Clint.
Yes, sir.
How should we do this? You have, how many are you going to give out to the people?
I don't know quite yet. I have a slew. I have just a docket.
It's a mystery number. Why don't you give us your favorite one to start off with?
There's so many favorites, Daniel.
Okay. All right.
There's so many favorites.
Then give us the game that our listeners are going to be most interested in that is also your favorite one?
Oof. All right, so we gave you already the line for Georgia. Hope you hit that. Hope you get on it quick. I'm going to take you to another SEC battle. I'm going to take you one that a lot of people actually don't have. I'm finding out that Vegas is giving them the favorite, Ole Miss and Kentucky. This is a very, very interesting game.
Now I'm very keen on this.
I'm very keen on this game.
I have many thoughts about this game.
This game is actually pretty wild, Daniel. We are down in Oxford, okay?
At the Grove.
At the Grove. Kentucky comes in. Kentucky not playing great football. Will Levis is exactly who he's always been. They're playing well enough. Stoops is a dedicated coach. Yep. They might get Chris Rodriguez back full steam now after, okay. Ole Miss is giving 6 points to Kentucky, Daniel. I don't see how that number isn't wider, isn't larger.
Do you think Ole Miss that much better of a team?
I think Ole Miss is that much better of a team. I think the way that Lane plays,
even with the quarterback situation.
Even with the quarterback situation, I don't think it matters too much.
Even with Chris Rodriguez.
I don't care, because you know who's all of a sudden finding out how to play defense?
Oh, yep.
Ole Miss is finding out how to play D.
Even with Chris Rodriguez, this just in, Ole Miss has a better running game than Kentucky.
Ole Miss might be if I was to rank SEC running games, Ole Miss is up there, y'all. That's all I'm going to say. They're up there.
Oh, they're definitely up there.
I'm taking Ole Miss. I'm giving the points to Kentucky. I'm laying them down, -6. Give me Ole Miss.
This is a game that when the lines first came out, it was Kentucky plus 5.5. And I almost fired on it right away on Kentucky because my gut reaction was Kentucky's going to win this game, period. But the more I've sat with it this week, I cannot make myself bet Ole Miss because I still think Kentucky's a live dog in this game.
Yes.
If you're going to sprinkle a little bit on a money line, Kentucky wouldn't be a bad one to hit.
This is a weird thing. I'm taking Ole Miss, but if I was to make any money line, again, bet chaos.
Yeah. I can't make myself bet on this game. I'm fascinated that those are your thoughts. I would probably lean that way. But, man, it just feels like a game Kentucky's going to win. I think Ole Miss is the better team by quite a bit. But it feels like a... So, do you have a play in the Alabama-Arkansas game, Clint?
I got no play in this game.
Okay, well, we'll just flip the roles then for a second. Because let me tell you two things that are true, okay?
Please do.
And we've told you on this podcast many times that two things can be true at the same time. Thing number one, right now, you can get Arkansas plus 17.5 against Alabama. And Arkansas is going to cover that number. They are going to cover 17.5 points against Alabama. Thing number two, you should not bet Arkansas plus 17.5. Do you know why, Clint?
Why is that?
Because that number gonna go up.
Ooh,
you're gonna get that 18th point. Okay, it's coming for you.
It started at 18.
You're gonna get it back. It's coming. I've seen it down as low as 16.5.
Ooh.
As we get closer to this game, people are gonna bet Alabama. More and more people are gonna bet Alabama. But Arkansas, at home, with their ability to run the ball, with KJ Jefferson's ability to control the clock, and I cannot stress this to you enough, with Arkansas's linebackers' ability to get pressure on Bryce Young. Clint,
where have we seen that?
Is Bryce Young good when he has pressure on him?
Hold on.
Like, not elite. I'm saying, is he good when there's pressure on him?
Scratching my head to find out, because Arkansas's got very speedy, very athletic backers.
Yeah. And maybe just rewind 2 weeks ago against a team that was far worse than a team that lost to Texas Tech last week. Maybe that team has dialed up a bit of a blueprint for how when Bryce Young's got somebody coming towards him, his arm stops working, Clint. It just doesn't work anymore. I'm not saying Arkansas is going to win this game.
Sprinkle.
But I am saying that they're going to cover 17.5 points, Clint.
I love that.
Give me the Hogs at home, Sam Pittman.
Look, Bryce Young on the road in SEC play against top-tier talent, not great, y'all. It's not great.
The record's good, but again, put some pressure in his face. You saw him tear Georgia up in the SEC championship game.
Yep.
What was the thing that didn't happen in that game?
No pressure.
No pressure. National championship game. Now, was that the same?
No,
Was that
sir.
the same situation? No.
No, sir. I'm going to give you a couple quick hitters.
All right, give us some.
Daniel, the team that you were on last week that I should have been on, and I put eyes on them in this game, and I am wildly impressed with Minnesota.
Yep.
Wildly impressed. That's a full team.
Yep.
Purdue, not a full team.
No.
Gophers only given 10 at home to Purdue without their cast of offensive weapons they had before. Give me the Golden Gophers laying the points. Daniel.
Look, if you can find a 10 out there, I say just jump all over it. I'll just tell you this. You're not going. There's not many 10s left out there. There may be in 10s when you bet that. Clint.
Yeah.
I got it at 9.5 earlier in the week.
Ooh, there we go.
I love it.
Doubling up, y'all.
love it.
Doubling up.
But right now, that number's up to like 12 because everybody and their brother. Listen, I still think they're going to cover 12. I'm not giving it out as a lock, but if that number drops down around 10 again, yeah, you lock that up. Minnesota at home. PJ Fleck is rowing that boat.
He's out to ruin some folks' careers, y'all.
That team might just run through the Big Ten West.
Come back to us later on in the year when there's a couple Big Ten, big old noon kickers.
Yep.
Because we got some thoughts on that.
They might just run through the Big Ten West, and don't sleep on Minnesota challenging, whether it's Michigan or Ohio State, whoever the representative from the East is in that title game. Don't sleep on Minnesota. They got a team now.
Oh, they
Ibrahim and that
Ibrahim
quarterback
is the second best running back this year
in the country.
Yes,
they got some, they got some dudes at Minnesota. I like them a lot. What's your second quick hitter before we go to break?
Second quick hitter is this. Look, I've been waiting to bet on Army. I can't do it, so I'm going to go to another academy.
It's not the year.
It's not the year for Army.
Don't do it.
But I'll tell you what, it is the year for Air Force. Daniel.
Air Force is a team.
Air Force is a team. Navy, not a team. Navy's kind of like Army. Air Force is given 15.5, but I'm not concerned at all. This is a runaway game for Air Force. Runaway game. Give me Air Force laying the 15.5.
Yeah, I don't hate it at all. Air Force runs that quadruple option.
Oh, they got all them options.
The fourth option is they huck it down the field. That's the option that that most service academies do not have. That Air Force does have.
Air Force does.
Yeah. All right. Let's we'll come back. We've got more locks for you. I got a full slate over here. I'm going to run through some games that I do not recommend that you watch, but I do recommend that you bet on. We're about to get into some weird stuff.
We're getting weird.
All right. Come back.
Daniel, what's the first weird one?
Well, it's not exactly the weirdest game in the world, but Rutgers is playing Ohio State, and it's not a game you're going to want to watch. But I'm not going to waste my time explaining myself to you. Take Rutgers plus 40.5, okay? It's 40.5 points, and Rutgers is not like a Division II, an FCS school.
They're a real team now, y'all.
Now, I know that Ohio State came out and absolutely waxed a ranked Wisconsin team. Like, I get it. And Wisconsin's not any good. They are ranked, even though Washington State already beat them at their house.
Let that sink in.
Which, I don't know why they were just ranked so they could play Ohio State, I'm pretty sure. I know that Ohio State just ran through Wisconsin. And I'm not saying Rutgers is better than Wisconsin. But I am saying that we've seen from Ohio State some ups and some downs this year. And it's not going to take that many points from Rutgers to cover 40.5. If Rutgers gets 10, they're good. If Rutgers gets 9, they're good. Because I don't think Ohio State's going to hang a 50 burger on Rutgers. And so they just need to sniff those double digits, and all of a sudden 40.5 is good. The other game I'm going to take
double that up, by the way, y'all. I am absolutely in on
jump
that.
on.
Lock that up.
Jump on board.
Yep.
The other game I'm going to take you to is this one hurts me. What do you bet on, Clint? First and foremost in college football, if you had to sum it up in one word, bet on
chaos.
The best story of the year so far,
Wow.
Clint,
Oh,
is the Kansas Jayhawks.
okay.
It's the best story.
go.
First of all, let me look into your eyes if you're an AP voter. How dare you? How
Grow something.
dare you not rank Kansas? It's ridiculous that this team isn't ranked. They're 4-0.
Mm-hmm.
They beat Houston,
Who was supposed to be a conference champion.
who was ranked at the time. And you're going to tell me that they're not a ranked team? But I'm looking at some of these teams sitting at the bottom of these
That quarterback
rankings.
can play, y'all. That Kansas quarterback can play.
It hurts me, Clint, because I want Kansas to win this game badly.
But what's going to happen?
Iowa State's going to beat them, Clint. First of all, Iowa State's favored by 2.5 points. That tells you everything that Vegas thinks you need to know right there.
This
Vegas
game started at
is
3.5, by the way.
begging you to bet on Kansas.
Yep.
4-0, Cinderella, best story of the college football season. Vegas is desperate for you to bet on Kansas. I'm not going to do it. I'm going to take Iowa State minus the 2.5, and I am going to laugh all the way to the bank. But actually, I'm going to cry because I really want Kansas to win this game.
Look, I'm going to bet the rest of the year. I have a sneaking suspicion, Daniel, that Matt Campbell is looking at that Auburn position that's going to be open soon.
Please let that happen.
I would, by the way,
Please.
we're in agreement. Please, Matt Campbell, because you're going to be another one of just
He
these
ain't
guys.
a coach.
He ain't a coach, but he's going to have his eye on it. He's going to run his way through a couple of games, win a few that he should not. Looking for get that. Then I'm going to take you to one, and this is a fade on Boise State. We said last week, Boise State don't know how to play the football. Brian Harsons is missed. He needs to go back to the blue turf. He needs to get a bird dog to keep the Ducks from landing on the field and go back home. Auburn about to can his booty.
Yep.
San Diego State Aztecs can play a ball. They're getting 5.5 points against Boise State. This is at Boise State. It's on the blue turf. I understand all that. Boise State can't play. San Diego State is fundamental. And I'm getting 5.5. Give me San Diego. Give me the Aztecs.
I don't hate taking points in that game, but that's a game that I can't stomach the thought of betting on either of those two teams because
they're awful. No,
and when you can't stomach the fact of betting on either of those two teams, you take the points, Clint.
Take the points.
You take the points, and that's exactly what you did. Listen, I don't recommend that you watch Louisville Boston College. I don't recommend it at all.
Gosh, no.
But Boston College at home is catching 15.5 points against a bad Louisville team. This team...
That head coach might not be... He might beat Harsons to the unemployment line.
This team is bad.
Yeah.
If Boston College beats him this week, Satterfield will be fired this week.
On the field, just like Kerm.
Louisville shouldn't be going on the road and laying 15.5 against anyone except Georgia Tech in the ACC. So, give me Boston College and Phil Jurkovec and the most painful offense in all of America to try to watch.
What's the air raid?
This is an offense that makes Iowa look watchable. That's what we're dealing with in Boston College. But 15.5 is too many daggone points. They're going to try to slow the game down. They're going to play solid defense. They're going to lose this game by 2 touchdowns. And I'm still going to cover. So give me Boston College plus 15.5.
Daniel, I like that. I'm going to give you my last one I'm going to give out. I'm going to give you the option of which game you want to hear from.
Okay. I got one more as well. So we'll see if it matches up.
Do you want me to tell you about Florida State Demon Deacons, Middle Tennessee and UTSA,
Pass.
Baylor Bears and Oklahoma State,
I am intrigued there.
Iowa and Michigan?
I can't talk about Iowa after we just talked about Iowa. Let me have you talk to us about, let's go back to the ACC. Let's talk about Wake Forest, the team that should have beaten Clemson last week.
Should have beaten Clemson.
Clemson's still ranked in the top 5, by the way, which that team is pathetic. And then Florida State, who is, if not for Kansas, maybe another one of the better stories of the college football season so far this year. Clint, do they keep it going against Wake Forest? That's my question to you. What do you got there?
See, I don't see how they can, Daniel. I'm catching points with the Demon Deacons. Okay, I think Demon Deacons are a better team. I think they got more talent at quarterback than they do. Travis is a good story over there. Norvell's doing something at Florida State. I get that. But Sam and Demon Deacons, they have the better offense. Clemson is a bad team, but a real defense.
Yep.
Okay? That is a real defense that got
And what did Wake Forest do?
obliterated by Wake Forest. It
Just sliced them up.
all the way through that vaunted defensive line.
I mean, they scored on like 7 straight possessions to end the game.
So I have no problem scoring points, and I'm catching points, nearly a touchdown. Give me the Demon Deacons.
Can
+6.
Florida State keep up? That's the question of that game. Can they keep up? Wake Forest defense is terrible, but
Awful.
can Florida State continue to score points with them? That will be an interesting game to watch. All right, I'm going to close this out by, listen, team gets embarrassed at home last week, top 5 team.
Here we go.
Gets their bell rung, and now they head on the road in a tricky spot to Fort Worth, Texas, to play a better than you thought they were going to be TCU team led by Sonny Dykes,
Come on.
who I just cashed a lot of money on because they were only favored by 2 points to beat SMU last week. And I said, I'm going to make a significant wager there, and that one paid off handsomely. So I like this TCU team, believe me. But Oklahoma's coming back with something fierce this week. You just believe it. Gabriel is going to play a lot better at quarterback. Venables is going to have the Oklahoma defense ready. And it's less than a touchdown?
Come on.
6.5? Yeah.
Come on.
Go ahead and take Oklahoma. Lay the 6.5 on the road against TCU. Sonny Dykes, TCU, that's a good team. But Oklahoma's a better team, and they're going to be out to prove something this week.
That does it here on Locked On Bulldogs, part of the Locked On Podcast. Now we're your team every day. Go make those bets. We will see you guys tomorrow.
See ya.